Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a seemingly invisible cybersecurity concept and completely breaking it down. We are talking about exactly how proxy chains hide IPs. If you want to understand the real mechanics of digital privacy and network defense without getting bogged down in all that unnecessary jargon, you are in the exact right place. We're going to make the invisible visible. So, how do you actually become digitally invisible to an attacker? Think about it. In the physical world, hiding is, well, relatively straightforward, right? You just duck behind a wall or you stay out of sight. But in the digital world, every single step you take, every request you send out to the internet naturally carries a return address. And that address is your IP. So if we really want to defend ourselves and our networks, how do we make that address just disappear from the view of someone looking to do us harm? That is the core problem we're going to solve today. Now, before we get into the actual mechanics, it's absolutely vital to establish our foundation here. The concepts we're discussing are strictly for educational and defensive security awareness purposes. The knowledge we're unpacking is incredibly powerful, and we do not promote or support any unauthorized activities. When you learn about these networking mechanisms, you absolutely must test systems only in controlled, safe lab environments or with explicit written permission, okay? This is all about understanding how malicious actors operate so that we can build better defenses against them. So with that ethical framework clearly in place, let's figure out how this whole thing actually works. Okay, let's dive right into this. A proxy chain essentially consists of servers that we use to route our internet requests. Instead of your computer sending a request directly to a website server, which, immediately exposes your originating IP address, you send your traffic to an intermediary proxy. Basically, the proxy acts as a middleman, asking the internet for the data on your behalf. A proxy chain takes that middleman concept and just multiplies it. But to really grasp how this sequence operates seamlessly, let's briefly take it out of the digital realm for a second. Think of this like sending a highly sensitive physical letter. You definitely don't hand it directly to the recipient. Instead, you give it to a post office, which hands it to a postman, who hands it to a second postman, who then hands it to a third. Now, the final receiver only ever interacts with that very last postman in the sequence. They have absolutely no idea who the first postman was, and more importantly, they have zero visibility into who originally wrote the letter in the first place. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact digital equivalent. A proxy chain functions just like that physical handoff. Your internet traffic, which is often layered with encryption and utilizing protocols like SOCKS 4 or SOCKS 5, is handed from one proxy server to the next in a sequence. Each server in this chain only knows about the machine that immediately handed it the data packet and the machine it needs to pass it to next. It's just a continuous, segmented line of communication where the full path is totally obscured from any single node. So we know exactly how the chain functions now. But honestly, why go through all the trouble of bouncing internet requests across multiple different servers globally instead of just connecting directly? What's the actual practical defensive application of setting up this kind of complex routing architecture? Well, the ultimate goal is simple: to hide your true IP address. If you connect directly to a destination server, that server instantly logs your digital home address. It's out there. But through a proxy chain, the final destination on the internet only sees the IP address of our final postman, the very last proxy server in the sequence. Your actual original IP address remains completely hidden, safely buried behind layers and layers of intermediate servers. And hiding that origin point serves a few absolutely critical cybersecurity functions. First off, it masks us from malicious attackers. When you're out there analyzing threats or reverse engineering malware, you simply cannot expose your real network to the bad guys. Second, it prevents our targets from tracing a connection back to our physical location or network infrastructure. If an adversary attempts to track who is investigating them, they just hit a random proxy server instead of your actual security operations center. Ultimately, masking our origin protects our systems from direct, targeted counterattacks. We maintain our digital invisibility so we can operate safely. So we've covered the fundamental what and the essential why of proxy chains. We've visualized the invisible routing that keeps our defensive operations secure. But theory is really only half the battle. Now that you know your IP can be hidden, are you ready to learn how to actively set this up and actually use it in practice? That practical configuration, getting your hands dirty in a safe lab environment, is exactly what we're going to tackle next time. So, what's your first step going to be? Until then, keep analyzing, stay focused, and keep learning.